We're back with more Umineko. Last episode we saw Ava pop off and we got a lot of focus on her. We also got a brief flashback when Beatrice was a tiny girl. There was another Beatrice with gray hair. I theorized that she might be Kumasawa since her speech patterns and her referring to the master Oyakata-sama was the same. That was my theory right now. I don't know how it ties in to the present though, because Kumasawa, she's not a magic wielding witch, right? So I don't know, but she knows a lot of stuff. So there might be some past there. Without even being allowed to wait for dessert, we were chased out of the room. Oh yeah, the siblings are fighting again. I heard that in the end, our parents were unable to get grandfather to respond. Well, I hate to say it, but I feel like giving grandfather a high five right now. But Ava is going to be a lot more involved this episode, I think. He was probably pretty satisfied with how his strange letter had given his children a good shock, since they'd all been so infatuated with the inheritance problem while grandfather was still alive. I also felt like our despicable parents had gotten what they deserved in all this confusion. But I couldn't really say that I was feeling particularly great. I felt all sulky. Apparently grandfather hadn't seemed concerned with the whole thing, but he also hadn't denied anything about the letter either. When talking about the witch's letter, grandfather's name kept popping up. If grandfather knew that someone was stealing his name, then, considering his character, he'd probably be mad with rage. But even though grandfather now knew that the contents of that letter, he coldly ignored it. So, did that count as a silent yes? Aunt Ava and Dad were trying to interpret the letter in their favor, their greed clearly visible. It wouldn't have mattered so much if it was all the adults had now started focusing on Maria, who had received the letter. They kept pounding her with questions about who had given it to her. Maria repeated over and over again that she had gotten it from Beatrice, but there was no way such a mysterious person could have sneaked into the island. After all, this island's small, and there's no one living on it outside the Yoshirimiya family household. Maria kept repeating that she'd gotten it from Beatrice, no matter how many times she was asked. The adults seemed to think that she was trying to trick them, so they didn't hold back and question her until she broke into tears. When Maria was released, she sobbed, all worn out from crying. After our parents ordered us to go to the guest house and take Maria with us, they shut themselves up in the dining hall and started getting louder and louder as they discussed the inheritance. And that it seemed that, because of that strange letter, Uncle Cross's chances of becoming the next head might have been reduced to a blank slate, and in exchange for accepting him, my dad and the rest were trying to swindle Uncle Cross out of a lot of money, or something like that. Disgusted as we were, Jessica and I were happy to move over to the guest house. We didn't want to be under the same roof as those filthy adults, their heads so filled with thoughts about money. George Niki pleaded on our parents' behalf, saying that he wanted us to understand them. I understood his reasoning. No matter how filthy the stock of money was, it wouldn't go away if you just closed your eyes to it. But even so, how could I sink so low as to overtly fight over the money of the dead? I don't know, Battler. I mean, I guess they don't respect their father enough. It makes sense because he was a shitty parent. I don't know about the grandmother though. There's also a Voiceless. No, this track makes me want to cry. Maria had cried herself dry and was hiding in her bed. Oh no, this track, man. She hadn't even twitched for a while, so she was probably sleeping.
Maria-chanは一体誰にあの手紙をもらったんだろうね。
Beatrice, the one manipulating her. Now who Beatrice is the problem.
ジョージ兄さん、それはもう聞いちゃダメだぜ。マリアがベアトリーチェにもらったって言うなら、それでいいじゃねえかよ。
I still have my working theory that it is Rosa.
これ以上、マリアを泣かせたくないしな。
I'm starting to suspect that Beatrice might be Shannon, actually. Even though we said that, we couldn't clear away a gloomy feeling. Still, if Shannon is Beatrice, there are a lot of things that don't work.
この島には今、
But there are a lot of things that do work if she is Beatrice.
そこにこの雨の中、未知の19人目がマリアちゃんに手紙を託して、今もどこかに隠れているというのは、正直現実的ではないね。
おそらく、あの肖像画のドレスをシャノンあたりにでも着てもらって、うまくマリアと口裏を合わせたってことじゃねえのかな。
Saying that Shannon did it, then I'm inclined to suspect that it isn't Shannon. But then again, she's the only one who knew about Maria's charm other than Rosa in episode 1. So she couldn't kill Nazi because of the charm that Maria crafted. Though Rosa might have also knew about the charm. Might have also known about the charm since she was Maria's mother. So there's a lot of theories right now. On one side there's Rosa, which is she's more familiar with Maria as a whole. And there's also Shannon. She's been working here since 10 years ago. And we all know that Maria had been in contact with Beatrice ever since she remembers. So it could be like an alternate personality from Rosa acting up. She already has one. There's it's hard to tell, actually.
もっともマリアの場合、あのドレスを見たらそれだけでベアトリーチェだと信じちまいそうだけどな。
But I've narrowed it down. It's either Shannon or Rosa. Maybe you could say Ava could work as well, but I don't believe. But even though Beatrice could be one or the other, I don't think that the main overall culprit killing everyone is Beatrice. There has to be multiple culprits working together. It's my theory.
誰が渡したかなんて、どうでもいい問題かもしれないな。大事なのは差出人だろ。要は、じい様が黄金の魔女の名を語って、まったく、人騒がせなじじいだぜ。
The most likely answer is that our occult-loving grandfather was playing around, handling the letter over to Maria, who shares the same hobby as he does, in such a dramatic way. Though he failed to give any thoughts for what Maria would have to go through, making it a pretty shitty thing to do.
たく、マリアの純真な心をもてあそびやがって。
Battler, you need to look out for Beatrice because she's been manipulating Maria since she was a child. That's the problem there.
手紙を渡したのが誰でもいいさ。
Since forever.
マリアがベアトリーチェにもらったって言うんだから、そういうことにしてやろうぜ。
Beatrice.
同感だよ。
Beatrice taught Maria that if she dies and goes to the Golden Land, then all her problems will be solved.
そうしよう。子供にとってのサンタクロースみたいな存在が、マリアちゃんにとってはベアトリーチェなんだろうね。
An evil Santa Claus, actually.
いない19人目もサンタクロースも俺たちが認めてやればそれは少なくともマリアの中ではいるということになるわけだ。なるほど。子供の夢を守るための嘘って大事だな。
I keep feeling bad for Maria.
どうしたんだよ、ジェシカ。まだ腹を立ててるのかよ。
Yeah, because she feels like her parents are being cornered by the other siblings, and the two cousins here are sons of them, their children. Jessica had her hand on her chin, as though there was something that she just couldn't understand. And I called out to her. She came to her senses.
ああ、ごめん。いやさ、マリアが会ったのは本当にベアトリーチェだったってことがあるんじゃないかな。
そりゃどういう意味だよ。この島に19人目の人間がいるって言いたいのか？
マリアちゃんの言うことを心から信じたなら、そういう答えに行き着くだろうね。
いや、そういうのじゃなくて、昔っからこの島には私たちの知らない誰かが住んでるんじゃないかって話はあったんだよな。
Are you talking about the silver-haired woman?
住んでるってどこに？
森の中にさ。
So, what's the difference between the old Beatrice and the new Beatrice? I mean, the new Beatrice says that she's more powerful. There's also Ronove, which was introduced last time. The adults were gathered in the dining hall, spending a long time continuing the discussion that had been started by Beatrice's letter. Cross strongly claimed that the letter was simply a prank, but he could not overturn the claim that Kinzo's failure to deny the letter was answer enough. Judging by Kinzo's character, if he knew that a letter had been written in his name, he would be mad with rage. Since all the siblings knew that, Cross had no choice but to withdraw his claim. Death's Door. Without even having to summarize it, the contents of the letter were simple. The person who could solve the witch's epitaph would receive the headship and assets. This did a lot of damage to Cross, who had been sure that he would receive the headship, and was better news than the rest of them who had already given up, who could have hoped for. However, there were some points that worried them. The person who solved the epitaph was not limited to a member of the Yoshuramiya family. Taken literally, anyone, no matter how doubtful their origin, might receive the headship. And furthermore, this meant there was a chance that all of the Yoshuramiya family's assets would be stolen away by some unknown person. In that sense, it was definitely not a situation where even the other siblings could afford to lower their guard. Had this letter come from an assassin sent by Kinzo calling themselves Beatrice? Or was this the scheme of some unknown person trying to steal the Yoshuramiya family's wealth? They still didn't know the truth. They could say one thing was for certain. Maria had received this problematic letter today on this island. In other words, someone planning something to do with that letter was on this island today. Had it been set up by Kinzo, one of his 4 siblings, or maybe some unknown person? No matter how much time they suspected each other, they couldn't reach a conclusion. After getting tired of bickering with each other, they finally reached the extremely obvious conclusion that doubting each other was just a waste of time.
拉致があかんね。無駄な時間を費やしたものだよ。
そうね。兄さんが気づいてくれるだけでこれ以上を浪費しなくて済むわ。
手紙の差出人がお父様と確定したわけではありませんよ。
Are they gonna start working together this time?
会話の成り立たないあなたに主人が呆れ果てただけです。
Okay, Nazi. Oh my god, you're so good. as well.
会話が成り立たないのはどっちよ。私が何か言うたびにあなたは怒鳴ってばかり。
Eva bites back harder than
そんな無様で
oh my god.
後ろ宮家にふさわしいと本気でお思いなのかしら。
Oh my god, her sing-song voice is so good.
夏井さんも一度終わった話やで。
Man, Eva has the potential to become the best character for me. She just needs screen time.
一度ここで頭を冷やさない？冷たいものでも持ってきてもらいましょうよ。
そうね、頭を冷やした方が賢明そう。あなたもそろそろ一服したくなってきたんじゃない？
姉貴の機嫌が悪そうだからね。
Rudolph, you as well. You need more appearances. Please don't die so soon this time. Don't die on the first Twilight. Come on, man. I need to see your reactions to shit.
だが冷たい方は賛成だ。ローザ、誰かに水を持ってこさせてくれ。
Kyrie as well. Come on. They've been dead for 2 whole chapters. 2 whole episodes. Rosa headed over to the extension telephone in a corner of the room and called the servant room. She then passed on what Rudolph had told her to the person on the other end. Vicious bickering up until now. Let me... This ain't good. The vicious bickering up until now vanished as though it had been a lie. That silence continued until Goda finished setting the table and retreated from the room.
他に何かご入り用のものはございますでしょうか?
Do you know what could be mindfucky? If every episode has a different main culprit. There's Beatrice hiding amongst the 18th. Could be Rosa, could be Shannon. But the main culprit, every episode is different. That could be very bad.
ありません。もう下がりなさい。
はい。
And very good at the same time. Imagine that storytelling. Like everyone has a plan to kill each other at the end.
それでは失礼いたします。
And we see all the episodes as different culprits try to kill the whole family. Man, imagine if Battler was one, but I don't think he is.
何かございましたらいつでもお呼びください。
Man, imagine Battler being the culprit. Man, fuck. That could be it because he's been away for 6 years, so there could be an episode where he kills everyone as well. After listening to the sound of Goda's footsteps disappear off to the distance, everyone took a deep breath at the same time to break the tension.
本当にすごい雨ね。19人目の魔女は今頃バラ庭園の東屋で雨宿りでもしているのかしら。
どうかしらね。雨はしのげるかもしれないけど、少し肩を冷やしそうね。
謎の19人目の来訪者か。ちょいと推理小説っぽくて面白い話やな。普通この手の話は18人の中の誰かが語ってるだけで、実際。
Oh, I'm sorry.
私は源氏たちが怪しいと睨んでいます。
謎の19人目の来訪者か。ちょいと推理小説っぽくて面白い話やな。普通この手の話は18人の中の誰かが語ってるだけで、実際には存在せんと相場が決まっとるんや。
If the person is speaking about it, I feel like I can't believe. So this line from Hideyoshi is making me believe that there's no one in the 18th. There's really a 19th person.
やはりどんな難癖をつけてでも片翼のわしの使用人たちは 全て解雇した方が良かったんです。
まあそういうな。長く勤めてくれた恩もある。もちろん気は許せんがね。
兄さんもお父様の仕業かどうかはともかく、あの手紙をマリアちゃんに渡したのは使用人の誰かだろうという点では同意するのね。
何しろ私たちは夕食までずっと仲良く団らんをしていたじゃないか。兄弟全員にアリバイがある。
But Rosa could have delivered it beforehand.
マリアに手紙を渡せたのは使用人の誰かだけだ。
でも使用人の人たちもみんなベッドメイクとかで忙しくて、バラ庭園のマリアのところへ行く余裕なんかなかったって言ってたし。
おいおい、じゃあ何だってんだよ。まさか森の魔女ベアトリーチェ様がお越しになって本当にマリアちゃんに手紙を渡したって言い出すのか？
Man, Rudolph's voice actor is incredible.
ローザ、昔は信じててすごい怖がってたものね。あんたまさかいい年してまだ信じてるの？森の魔女。
If she did exist, I'd love for her to appear. But no matter how much I wished, she didn't appear before me, even once. She didn't save me from my crisis.
まさか。でも18人全員が自分は違うと言っている以上、本当に19人目がいるのかもって思っただけなの。
そんなんあらへんで。第一、船で来たのはわしらだけや。謎の乗船者なんぞわしらは姿も見とらん。まさかこの荒海を泳いで渡ってきたっちゅうんか。
That was proof.
ちょいと考えられへんな。
理屈ではそうね。この隔絶された島に招かれていない客が一人隠れているというのは常識的に考えがたいんだけれど、でもどうもその可能性を捨てきれない人たちがいるみたいね。
Hideyoshi had left it off, saying that there couldn't be a 19th person. Kirei had sensitively picked up the delicate atmosphere amongst the four siblings. In a normal situation, there shouldn't have been any uninvited guests on this small, isolated island. How would they have come here, and from where? Where are they hiding? Where were they hiding? And why hadn't they appeared openly, even though they had sent a letter in their name? Nothing could explain that. Not only had the four siblings not joined in on Hideyoshi's laughing, they also seemed unable to completely deny in their hearts the possibility of a 19th person.
キリエさん、誤解しないでいただきたいが、別に私たちはおとぎ話じみた魔女伝説などこれっぱかりも信じちゃいないさ。
またお父様を侮辱する話ですか？それを口にすること自体がお父様への裏切りです。
まあね。でもあのお父様ですもの。あるいは本当にねえ。
A mistress.
私は何も知らないわ。
なんやなんや、何を見学になっとるんや。どういうことや。つまり魔女伝説は笑い話でも何でもなく事実だっちゅうんか。そんなアホな。
もちろん大きにまたがって空を飛ぶ魔女なんて誰も信じちゃいないさ。だがあの肖像画の女ベアトリーチェは本当にこの島に存在したかもしれない。
秀吉さん、魔女とかの話じゃなくてもっとシンプルな話みたいよ。つまりこういうことね。ベアトリーチェという名の愛人をお父さんがこの島のどこかに隠れ住まわせていたのではないかとみんなは疑っている。そういうことかしら。
お父様は自己を厳しく律する模範的な方です。そのような汚らわしい存在を島に連れ込むなど到底考えられません。
Natsuhi snapped at them immediately, but it looked like the four siblings, including Cross, didn't agree. On the contrary, they appeared to think Kinzo wouldn't even have hesitated to do something like that. From the beginning, it had been whispered that Kinzo had built a mansion on this island, specifically because of the existence of an entrancing mistress.
親父を尊敬してる夏日さんには悪いが、だいぶ昔からそういう噂はあったんだよね。親父は自分一人でこの六軒島の設備全てを作り上げた。屋敷の中には親父しかわからない仕掛けや隠し部屋なんかがあるんじゃないかって初めから疑われてたし。
In the chapel, I think.
俺たちの知らない秘密の屋敷がこの島のどこかに隠されてるんじゃないかとも
Secret mansion.
ささやかれてた。
So that's the other mansion in the
そう
beginning.
ね。
I see.
地図上は小さな島かもしれないけれど、後ろ宮家だけが住むには広大すぎる島
And
だ
the
わ。
servants know about that secret mansion as well. Kamasa might know.
そして未開の森のどこかに愛人を住まわせるための隠し屋敷を作ったかもしれないと、そう思われてたのね。ずいぶんスケールの大きな話ね。
最初はそれはこの屋敷の中じゃないかと言われてた。秘密の地下とかがあったりして、そこに豪華な隠し部屋があり、あの肖像画の魔女が隠れ住んでるんじゃないかとかな。親父の書斎の凝ったオートロックの仕掛けとかを見てると、それも納得できるだろ。
Yeah.
何しろ莫大な黄金をどこか秘密の場所に秘密の仕掛けで隠したと吹聴する親父殿だ。この屋敷とてまだ我々の知らぬ隠し部屋があったとしても驚くには足りんね。
お母様は存命中。よくお父様の不在をついて屋敷内をしらみつぶしに探し回ってたわね。ルドルフが言ったことをお母様も疑ってたのよ。どこかに秘密の扉や階段があって、その中に金髪の愛人が隠れていると信じていたわ。
It's hard to believe. There are some actual examples in other countries of people cheating with someone over a period of several decades by making them live in a hidden attic room. Furthermore, Kinzo had mentioned this extravagant. It was possible to suspect the existence of a hidden room.
六軒島の魔女伝説って私の聞いてた話では、子供たちが未開の森に入り込まないようにって言って作った怖がらせるためのおとぎ話だったんだけど、なんだかそれだけじゃないって気がしてきたわ。
まあ何しろ後ろ宮の屋敷以外に何もない。俺やローザがガキの頃はそりゃ雷雨の夜に森から聞こえてくる木々のざわめきに怯えたもんさ。その木々の間から不気味な何かが様子を伺ってるんじゃないかなんて妄想。ガキだったら誰でも考える自然なものさ。だが俺やローザがそう訴えるのを聞いて、ガキの妄想だろでは済まさない連中もいたってことなんだろうね。そうだろ姉貴。
私や兄さんはこの島に隠れ住んでいる愛人が人目を忍んで出歩いていたのを偶然あんたたちが目撃したのではないかと考えていたわ。もちろんお母様もね。
古い使用人たちの中にも深夜の屋敷内に肖像画の魔女が徘徊しているというような怪談が語られていた。私はそれを表向き怪談として笑い捨てていたが、
Oh my god, this is so engrossing. Oh my god.
存在を十分に疑っていた。
I'm so focused right now on the story. It's so good.
となるとこの島に19人目の何者かがいるかもしれないってのは。
Man, the four siblings are the most entertaining characters. All-rounders.
全くバカバカしい話でもないっちゅうこと
They're
なの
much
か。
better than the servants in terms of personality
いやむしろどこかに
and how
いるか
they
もしれないわけか。
bounce off each other.
よくルドルフさんの言う悪魔の証明というやつになったわね。19人目がいることは証明可能だけれど、 19人目が存在しないことは証明不能。私たちはベアトリーチェという名の人物が島のどこかに潜んでいることを前提に議論を進めるべきなの？
危機管理の基本としては正しいな。いるわけがないと思うよりはいるかもしれないと用心する方がはるかにマシだろうよ。
そうやな。すまん、ちょいと不用心が過ぎたわ。ローザさん、さっきは笑ってすまんかったな。
別に気にしてないです。
Hideyoshi apologized deeply for taking the worst case scenario lightly, despite calling himself the president of a company. Silence fell again. Preparing for the existence of a 19th person would mean, in effect, acknowledging the presence of some unknown entity hidden on this island. And since this person might be planning something shady, it was only natural that the conversation would turn in an ominous direction.
親父殿はかつて不意に所在を知らせずに姿を消すことがあった。何しろ静寂を好むお人だからな。わざと所在を知らせずどこかの書庫に閉じこもっているなどということは別に不思議なことではなかったよ。しかし魔女伝説が愛人説にすり替わり、やがてそれはこっそり愛人のもとへ通っているのではないかと囁かれるようになった。
末期のおふくろは疑心暗鬼の塊だったからな。突然大騒ぎして使用人たちに緊急事態だから今すぐ親父を探せなんて騒ぎ始めることがあったっけ？
あったわね。晩年のお母様はそんなことばかりだったから未だにその怖い雰囲気が拭えないわ。今だから言える。かわいそうな人だったわ。
それでその大々的な家探しの結果どうだったんや？何か見つかったか？
いいえ、隠し部屋はおろか一度たりともお父様が発見されたことはないわ。そしていつもそれからだいぶ時間が経ってからひょっこりとどこからか姿を現すの。どこかの書庫で昼寝していたとか、風に誘われて浜辺を散歩していたとかなんとか言ってね。でもそれらの場所はいずれも使用人たちが必ず探している場所。お父様がどこに行っていたのかはいつもわからなかった。当時からお父様はオカルトに傾倒していることが有名だったから。
Kumasal might know.
一部の使用人たちは蝶にでも化けてバラ庭園を待っていたのだろうなんて嘘吹いていたっけ。
つまりお父さんは誰も知らないどこかへ姿を消すことが頻繁にあったのね。
ああ、どんなに屋敷中を探しても見つからないんだから、親父は屋敷の外へ行っているのだろうという見解になった。だが屋敷の外ったってそれほど大した場所はない。となると残るのは広大な森だ。それで森の魔女伝説と融合してできた仮説はこうだった。親父は実は森のどこかに隠し屋敷を作っていて、そこにベアトリーチェという名の愛人を住まわせていて、時折通っているんじゃないかってわけだ。
私も当時は若くてね、親父殿の浮気の現場を抑えてやろうと意気込み、表へ出る親父の後をつけようとしたことがある。もちろん失敗したよ。親父は表へ出るとき異様に人目を嫌い、誰かに見られてないか警戒していた。それこそ異常なくらいにね。だから逆に確信したよ。家人に知られてはならぬ理由で出かけているに違いないとね。
そら愛人のところへ出かけるんや。人目も忍ぶやろな。
After seeing Hideyoshi nod and say yes, yes, as though this was quite obvious, Eva got a little sullen.
まあとにかく西洋かぶれのお父様が自分の夢をまるでスケッチブックに描くみたいに実現したのがこの島なのよ。すべてがお父様の思い通りの島
Oh, her voice.
愛人を住まわせる隠し屋敷があっても何の不思議もない。
Ava's words spoke for what all the siblings had come to think. For a while, the room returned to silence again, and everyone listened to the sound of the wind and rain. Was there a hidden mansion on this island, and had Kingzo's mistress been living there in hiding for a long, long time? Everyone thought they were being too suspicious, and they hesitated for a long time without speaking. But everyone shared the common opinion. Kyrie, who had been listening the whole time with her eyes closed, spoke to no one in particular.
そのお父様の愛人の噂はいつ頃から？
この島に引っ越してきた当初からだから、かれこれ30年くらい前だな。何しろ隠し屋敷の工事なんて俺たちが島に来ちまったら無理だろ。人とか機材の出入りがあるもんな。すぐにバレちまうさ。
I don't think it's there was a mistress, but I think that he had a son or a daughter with her, and then he had a granddaughter, and that granddaughter was Beatrice, the current one. But still doesn't make sense why she has this lover's attachment to Kinzo. Feels weird.
だから可能だとしたら俺たちが引っ越してくる以前、多分俺たちがまだ小田原に住んでいた頃にこの屋敷の工事と一緒に済ましていたんだろうよ。
So
お父
Rudolph
様は
and
家族
was
生
already
活と愛人との生活の2つを両立させようと最初から想定していたと考えるのが妥当なんでしょうね。多分愛人との関係は小田原時代にまで遡るでしょうし。
だろうな。親父殿が言うように後宮家復興の軍資金となった莫大な黄金が小田原時代にはもう親交があったと見るべきだろう。莫大な黄金を貸し付けられるだけの信頼関係だ。どれほどの古い縁か想像もつかんね。
おそらくお父様が事業で成功する上で何か貴重な助言をしてくれたのでしょう。それに恩を感じ、その人物が黄金を与えてくれたというような言い方をしたと考えるのが自然です。そうと考えればその後も親交があったのは当然でしょう。それはおそらく愛人というただれた関係ではなく、後宮家の危機を救った恩人としてに違いありません。
夏樹さんの言うのも一理あるかもわからんな。だが仮にそうでも隠し屋敷を作って住まわせるってのはちょいと行き過ぎた話やな。恩だけでは計れん感情があったんとちゃうか。
まあ全ては憶測だ。第一、その隠し屋敷は誰も見つけたことがねえ。兄貴はこの島をリゾート開発する気なんだろ。
And interrogating the servants yields nothing, right?
その際にひょっこり見つかるかもしれねえぜ。案外そこに黄金もあったりするかもな。
お前は六軒島を宝島か何かだとでも思っているのかね。
とぼけないでよ。兄さんがリゾート開発と称して島の全域調査を計上しようとしてたのを知ってるのよ。例のトラブルのごたごたでできなくなっちゃったそうだけどね。
なんだか知らんが誤解だな。島の調査はリゾート化の第一段階として極めて当然。
Cross tried to play dumb, but it was plainly obvious to his siblings who knew him so well. Cross was definitely sure of the existence of a hidden mansion. And then under the pretense of opening a resort, he had been closely investigating the island, searching for a clue as to the location of the hidden gold. They couldn't tell whether that conviction was just him overthinking things, or whether it was based on some physical proof. Still, if Cross with all his guile was sure That was enough proof for the other siblings to be sure, too.
森に魔女が住んでるっちゅうのはそのまんまおとぎ話やが、森の中に誰も知らない屋敷があって金髪の姉ちゃんがひっそり隠れ住んどるっちゅうのも十分おとぎ話やな。
そうね。シチュエーションだけだったらまるで童話か何かみたいね。ローザ、そういうの好きでしょ。
Why?
まあね。
Why is Eva targeting Rosa again? Is Rosa really?
この島に屋敷を建てた頃は親父殿の特に全盛期だ。金に物を言わせてどんな妄想も実現しただろう。森の中にひっそり佇む魔女の屋敷。親父の好きそうなシチュエーションだ。
だな。オカルトチックというかメルヘンチックというか親父の趣味って気がするぜ。
On this island, on which the Yoshimiya family had lived for 30 years now, a hidden mansion that no one knew about had been quietly built to house a witch, about whom nothing was known except what could be guessed from a portrait. Even this hastily thrown together theory might not be completely delusional, considering all of Kinzo's strange habits and his vast wealth.
お父さんがそういう夢を思い描いて隠し屋敷を建てることは不可能じゃないかもしれない。でも現実的な話、その隠し屋敷に愛する女性を不自由なく何十年にもわたって住まわせることなんて可能なのかしら。
さあ、愛さえあれば可能なんじゃない？
愛する女性が健やかに過ごせるような設備よ。それもお父さんなりのね。それはたとえ規模が小さかったとしても趣向を凝らした快適な邸宅に違いない。そしてそれを維持するには電気、ガス、水道、あるいは身の回りの世話に人間も必要かもしれない。食事の世話だって大変でしょうね。衣服や化粧品、日用品、女の身の回りは簡単じゃないわ。それだけのものを家人にも使用人にも悟らせずに維持することって可能なのかしら。
そこまで言われると確かに弱いな。だがそれでも親父ならやってのけるかもしれんという気持ちは残る。何しろあの親父だからな。
そうね、あのお父様だものね。
お父様はやり遂げることは何があってもやり遂げます。常人には難しいから無理だろうという理由はお父様に関してだけは当てはまらないでしょう。
親父殿に関してだけは見くびらん方がいい。親父の狂気は常人の思考では理解にも及ばん。
I wouldn't put it past that Kinzo. As long as you stick to this phrase, a considerable amount of credibility can dwell in any absurd story. However, that didn't cause the importance of what Kiri had said to waver. This was different from the stealthily raising a kitten in a cardboard box and keeping a secret from your parents. Taking care of a person in secret for over a period of 30 years would be an incalculably massive task.
お父さんの黄金伝説は六軒島を取得する前からや。となると、その愛人との縁は30年以上ということになるな。ってことは今いくつなんや。下手をしたらわしらと同じかそれ以上の年齢とちゃうか。体にもボロが出る年頃のはずや。どんな屋敷か知らんが人目に触れんようなほとんど軟禁に近い生活はそう快適とは言えんやろな。
そうね、お父様が語るベアトリーチェについての話が正しいならその縁は30年以上。当時は魅惑的な若い女性だったかもしれないけど、今は私たちと同格のタフな食えない女と考えるのが妥当でしょうね。手紙の内容からもそれは容易に想像できるわ。
お前が言う
Cross laughed as if none of this applied to him. Of course, Eva was offended, but she didn't strike back.
よせよ兄貴。そして俺たちの想像が本当なら、親父の遺産問題に彼女は胸を張って参加したいはずなんだ。何しろお袋と違い相思相愛だった可能性が高いからな。本人には愛人の自覚と同時に正妻としての誇りもあるかもしれない。
それはお母様への侮辱にあたりますよ。
ああ、すまん。だが親父とお袋が親戚の長老たちによる政略結婚だったことは誰もが知ってる。だからこそ親父に愛人がいてもおかしくないと確信できるわけだがな。
The family sank after the Great Kanto earthquake, and father was set up as the Ushirmiya family head against his will. However, in the beginning, the elder relatives treated Kinzo like a dummy and influenced him powerfully, almost like he was a puppet. He wasn't permitted to decide anything by himself, not even his marriage partner. Ever since he met that golden witch Beatrice in those distant days, Kinzo's legend of the gold was quickly embellished into something dramatic. In other words, it can mean that Kinzo did find a woman he loved. If she also knew the whole story, even if they weren't marriage partners, it wouldn't have been odd for her to consider herself his true wife inside her heart. And now the person registered as his true wife was already dead.
となると、財産権どころか家督争いにも食い込む気満々ってことになるで。
なるほどな。この手紙の趣旨が少しだけ見えてきたよ。碑文の謎を解く者に家督を。そういう意味か。
仮にその愛人が後宮家に序列を得ていたとしても、その序列はお父様の血を直接引かない以上子供に劣る。
But if it was a child, what would you do?
つまり序列はローザより一つ下ね。とても家督争いに加われるようなレベルじゃないわ。
そういうことか。魔女の碑文を解けば序列に関係なく家督が告げる。つまり全く可能性のないベアトリーチェにとって最も有利な条件ってわけだ。
The revival of the Ushirmiya family was made possible by the gold Beatrice had bestowed. That was quite a distinguishing service she had provided. She had built that wealth together with Kinzo, so it was natural that she would think of herself as the one who should inherit it. It would also be natural for her to despise the thought of giving it up to the children of the wife Kinzo never loved.
ずうずうしいにも程があります。仮に愛人が実在したとしても当主継承権を争うなど身の程をわきまえぬ暴挙です。なんという身の程知らず。
Natsuhi turned red, her fist quivering. Oh my god, are there going to be an alliance of the siblings now? Oh man. She had also come into the Ushirmiya register due to complicated circumstances. Those who knew that understood more or less why she was so angry for the sake of Kinzo's dead wife.
まあ、その暴挙のおかげで私たちにも公平にチャンスがあるわけなんだけどねえ。それにお父様はこの暴挙を黙認されている。後宮家を継ぐのは愛人ベアトリーチェか、愛はなくとも血を受け継ぐ私たちか、それを争わせて確かめたいというのでしょうね。
As Ava giggled roguishly, Cross shrugged his shoulders and looked away.
でもその条件を向こうが出してきたということは、向こうは十分な勝算があるということじゃないのかしら。
それもそうや。第一、ベアトリーチェはあの手紙の文面通りならお父さんの顧問錬金術師、つまり黄金の管理者や。その隠し場所を知っていても何の不思議もないやないか。こらひどい話やで。答えを知っている謎々を出してきたも同じや。これでシャーシャーと現れて これが答えや。家督はいただきやで、なんて言われたら、わしらすべてかっぱらわれちまうわ。
そうね。謎々の出題者は常に正解を知っているものよ。これは私たちから全てを奪うために作られた罠の可能性が高いわ。
そこまで考えると、そもそも彼女が本当に黄金を持っているかどうかは怪しいと思わんかね。なぜ我々にその存在を教える。黙って着服すれば良いもの。
That's what you will do, Cross.
確かにおかしな話だな。
That certainly was the case. If the Yeftaft showed that way to the hidden gold, why would she challenge them to try and solve it? If they actually did solve it, wouldn't the gold all be stolen from her? Could it be that this person was trying to stir the siblings up so they solved the epitaph, and then planned to steal it away at the last second? It was an extremely logical possibility.
いいえ、チェス盤をひっくり返して考えれば、黄金を実際に持っている可能性は低くないかもしれない。
どうしてそんなことが断言できるのよ。
待て姉貴。キリエ、続きを話してくれ。どうしてそう思うんだ。
だって私たちは魔女の碑文なんていう謎々の答えを教えられたくらいで、本気で後ろ宮家の家督を明け渡す気？謎々の答えに感服して降参を？
そらまあ、それもそうやな。謎々の答えを教えられたくらいで、わしらがあっさり降参して家督をはいどうぞと渡すかっちゅうたら、そら甘い話やな。
当然です。後ろ宮家の家督をそんな程度のことで譲ることがあるわけがない。
そういうことよ。いくらベアトリーチェが一方的にこんなゲームを提案しても、そして見事その答えを示してみせたとしても、
What was that in episode 2 then?
私たちは家督を素直に譲るわけもない。つまり私たちがこのゲームに対等な条件で挑まなくてはならないという強制力がない限り、このゲームは成立しないのよ。
そうだな。負けた時、家督を譲ることに強制力を持たせなきゃこのゲームは成立しない。
その強制力というのはどういう意味だね。我々を鎖で縛って家督を譲るよう脅迫でもしようというのかね。
なるほどね。わかったわ。私たちが喜んで家督を放棄したくなるようにすればいいわけね。
Offer gold or for money.
なるほど。ならば確かにベアトリーチェは10トンの黄金を持っていなければならない。
そうか。わしにも分かったで。つまり取引っちゅうわけやな。
どういう意味ですか？取引？何を？
後ろ宮家の家督と隠し黄金をよ。ベアトリーチェはきっと10トンの黄金の所在を明かし、それで後ろ宮家の家督を買収するつもりなのよ。
バカバカしい。栄光ある後ろ宮家の家督をお金でやり取りしようというのですか？冒涜です。後ろ宮家への冒涜です。
怒らずに聞いて。その栄光ある後ろ宮家には今どの程度の財産があるの？私たちはそんなにも裕福なの？
裕福の定義とは財産で決まるのではありません。
I mean, you have the island, sure, you have mansions, sure, but still, you're not the richest family in Japan even.
心の持ちようで決まります。私たちの財産状況が一体何の？
Cross interrupted Natsuki as she started to go on and on emotionally. In this situation, the more she went on like that, the worse it will actually sound.
私はともかくお前たちの状況は芳しくないと聞いているよ。
あらそう。兄さんの財政状況だって相当に芳しくないと聞いているわよ。次々担保に入れて新しい博打の掛け金にして負けを認めないために次々新しい博打に手を出して内情の話をしたら この中で兄さんほど火の車の人間は存在しないわ。どれだけ損失を出してんのよ兄さんは。才能ないのよ。
Oh, oh my God, she's returning Ava from her youth, I think.
誰の才能がないというのですか。
Yes. Oh, Ava, come on, put him on blast.
ユニコと書き、火の車とは。
Not he became indignant once more, but Cross raised his hand again and interrupted her.
多少の誤解があるようだ。ビジネスは経過で判断できるものではない。私のような長期的視野でのビジネスともなると、時に短い単位期間では一見大きな損失を出しているようにも見えるものだ。
Cross would be that ignorant fool who visits what's the Wall Street bets and gets financial advice from there.
兄貴、裏は取れてんだぜ。今は見栄を張ってる場合じゃない。つまりキリエはこう言いたいのさ。俺たちは全員が全員金に困ってる。そしてベアトリーチェは10トンの黄金を持っている。
ベアトリーチェは自分だけがありかを知る10トンの黄金で私たちに家督を売らせるつもりなのよ。10トンの黄金の価値はどのくらい？ざっと見積もって20億？いえ、200億ね。これだけを積まれたら、私たちは歓喜して彼女を次期当主に認めるわ。
But it's hard to transfer all that to money. I mean, you could do it, but it would take a lot of time. And the government would be involved, taking their share, or even taking it whole. The scene returned to silence. In fact, the rain and wind felt even noisier now. It was probably the sound of the windstorm racing through the insides of their minds.
冗談じゃないわよ。多少お金を積まれたくらいでどこの馬の骨とも知れない女に家督を譲るなんて。
Oh, she's really coming back. Holy shit.
アホ抜かせ。もともとお前に家督なんぞいかんやないか。わしらは何も失わずに金だけをもらえる話やで。そら損得感情は必要やろが、聞くに値する話や。
Oh man, I just waiting for her to bash her hands on the table and say, the headship is mine. Fuck all of y'all. They all knew that Cross had eaten up much of the Yoshiramiya's family assets. So it was dregs that remained of the inheritance versus the cost of being accepted as the head that Beatrice would pay. It was a shame, but honestly, the former was less enticing than the latter.
まあ、4等分とはならねえだろうな。次期当主を降りることになる兄貴に取り分が多くなるのはやむを得ねえだろうよ。羨ましい話だぜ。
Ooh, oh shit. Another source of conflict. Rudolph and his inferiority complex about being the second born son of the family. These two are going to fight. Definitely sometime later.
あなた、金額の問題じゃないでしょ。不甲斐ない弟たちはお金で後宮家の栄光を売り払うつもりなのですよ。ここで長男の威厳を示さずして何とするのです。
夏希、しばらく黙っていなさい。
Ooh.
あなた、
こりゃクラッとくる話だぜ。俺たちは兄貴から2億半ずつ引っ張ろうと思ってた。もし魔女様が俺たちに10トンのうちの1割も弾んでくれたなら、
20億ね。
ああ、俺たちは当初の見積もりの10倍も弾まれちまうことになる。そんだけあれば俺たちは十分だぜ。どうせ後宮なんて名前に未練はねえんだ。喜んで売っ払ってやら。
10トンすべてを提供してくれるかはさすがに川山用だとしても、なるほど、私たちにとって魅力的な話になるわね。私たちはベアトリーチェなどというよそ者を弾き出すために兄弟同盟を組もうとしていた。しかし彼女の目論見がこうならば、私たち兄弟の団結はバラバラにされるわ。ええ、今こそはっきり断言できる。 ベアトリーチェの手紙の目的は私たちの結束をかき乱すことなのよ。
Scar and the score. If the three younger siblings, who never had anything to do with the inheritance, were paid enough money to satisfy them, they would happily accept Beatrice as the next head. A moat had been dug all around Cross. In that case, the negotiations would be one-on-one between her and Cross. He tried to look strong, but Cross's financial and political situation was extremely weak. He might bluff in front of his siblings, but on the inside, he was considering entering negotiations, depending on the sum of money involved. In order to bury his losses, Cross had taken advantage of the fact that Kinzo had shut himself up in his rooms and had embezzled Kinzo's personal assets. Therefore, when Kinzo died and the inheritance was distributed, Cross's situation would probably be investigated. But if he gave up his seat as the head to Beatrice, she will also receive rights to the assets, and as a result, the distribution of the inheritance to the siblings would not occur. In other words, Cross's embezzlement might not have to be made known to the other siblings. Of course, the siblings were frightened of Kinzo, but it was doubtful whether they still actually respected him as a father. By this time, they each had their own families, their own wealth, and their own lives. They were paid enough money in exchange for Rokkenjima, the wreckage of Kinzo's dreams. There was a significant likelihood that they relinquished the Yoshinomiya family name. In other words, Beatrice's victory was already guaranteed in this game, not as the winner of Beatrice's game, but as the winner of Kinzo's game. Kinzo once ordered that the epitaph be put on display, and until today no one had solved it, so Beatrice solved it. In other words, this is less of a game and more like Beatrice's declaration of victory. However, Kyrie still thought there might be a catch. If this was a declaration of victory, Beatrice would only have to display the gold openly and state her intent to buy the inheritance. And yet, she had gone to all this trouble telling the siblings to try and solve the epitaph. Why did she set up this new game where she agreed to hand over all the gold and the inheritance to the epitaph solver? Kyrie tried spinning the chessboard around several times. She searched for this sort of ideal strategy that Beatrice might be after, something that could lead to this kind of thinking. In the end, she reached a single conclusion.
おごりなのかしら、あるいは遊び。
何の話？
魔女は気分を解いてみろと私たちに挑戦状を送ったわ。どうせ解けないだろうと高をくくってるでしょうけどね。でも何万分の1かの確率で私たちが解いてしまう可能性もあるはず。何しろここにはお父さんの血を引く子供が4人もいるのよ。出題者の血縁者が4人も揃い、財産を奪われまいと死に物狂いで知恵を出し合ったなら、偶然にも謎が解けてしまうこともあるかもしれない。
The reason the witch had a superior position in negotiations compared to the siblings was that only she knew the location of the hidden gold. But if that hiding place was exposed to someone other than her, the witch's advantage would crumble. Holy shit, is this why Beatrice killed the siblings in all their games? To isolate one or to kill all of them? Because if they're together, holy shit, they can fucking destroy people here.
つまり魔女の手紙に書かれている挑発文は
Especially Kyrie.
ベアトリーチェにとってリスクにしかならないのよ。確かに兄弟の連帯を分断するという効果はあったけれど、それを狙うためだけにわずかとはいえこのようなリスクを？私は不用心だと思う。でもね、ある種の感情を念頭に置いたとき、このリスクは理解可能になるのよ。
それがおごりだという。
The candles dance.
ええ、そうよ。圧倒的な優位に立つと人はおごるわ。すると敗者に対しその優位性をひけらかすために微小なリスクをわざと背負うことがある。適度なリスクは 勝利の喜びを引き立たせるスパイスだもの。リスクなき勝利ほど退屈なものはない。わかるわ。
Kyrie understands the surface level of Beatrice, but not all.
私もそういうの好きだもん。よくわかるわ。
ベアトリーチェの手紙の真意をもっともらしくいろいろと解釈してみたけれど、実はこれが真実かもしれない。あの手紙の裏に潜む感情はおごりなのよ。
おごり。
難解な碑文がお前たちに解けるものかと私たちを見下して威張り散らしたい。
I think it was desperation instead of arrogance.
案外ひょっとすると碑文はお父さんじゃなく彼女が作ったのかもしれないわね。
上等じゃないの。碑文の謎が解けるかです。
Oh.
もしも解いたなら私を当主にしてくれるのね。
Oh my god, her voice.
解いてやる。
Oh my god.
魔女の挑戦を受けてやるわ。他の間抜けな兄弟たちに解けるものか。私一人が解いて、私こそが後ろ宮家を引き継ぐにふさわしいということを証明してや
I
る
am
わ。
blessed this chapter. Holy shit. I am blessed this episode. Ava focus. I am so blessed right now.
その挑戦乗ったわ。私が謎を解いてやる。
Oh. Ava, my god, you're so good. Man, and I thought that the characters from Higurashi were excellent. Then comes in Ava, comes in Rosa,
なるほど
Battler,
な。
Beatrice.
魔女じゃなくベアトリーチェという名の愛人が島に存在していたわけか。
Fishy aroma.
人間は18人以上いる。
I've been listening into this track on YouTube for a...
ということは18人全員に不可能だから魔法犯罪であると。これは大きい情報だぜ。
I've suspicious scent or fishy aroma
失礼いたします。
in YouTube. I tried to...
紅茶とクッキーはいかがですか？
Beatrice's butler, who called himself Ronove, appeared out of nowhere. A plate set on a silver tray that he held was filled with delicious-looking steaming black tea and cookies. I really don't like this guy's smile. For some reason, it doesn't look like a smile used to warmly greet a guest. It feels like he's mocking me somehow. Oh, you just realized. I don't know if he really takes me for an idiot or if it's just a joke or something, but it's really irritating me.
いらねえよ。俺は今取り込み中なんだ。放っておいてくれ。
おやおや、それは美味しく焼けたクッキーなのに。
Oh my god, his voice. Ronove's voice is so
人
good.
間ごときにはもったいないくらいに素敵に焼き上がった。それは素敵なクッキーなのに。
Let me take a peek.
気が向いたら食ってやるぜ。その辺に置いてとっととうせな。
さようでございますか。それではそのようにいたしますよ。冷めてからお召し上がりになって焼きたてを召し上がらなかったことを存分に後悔なされると良いでしょう。
Oh my god, his voice. His
い
performance.
ちいちうるさいやつだな。まあ耳元で気色悪くケラケラ笑うベアトのやつよりゃ数段マシだがよ。
いえいえ、まったくお嬢様の笑い声は時折実に品がありません。それを聞くたびになぜ私ほどの高貴な悪魔があのようなものを主にしなければならないのか理解に苦しむのでございます。
Oh my god. And you have your own laugh as well. Man, Ronove.
変なやつだな。そんなに嫌なら使えなきゃいいだろうが。
それでもなおお使いするのが家具の喜びなのでございますよ。それでなくては家具は務まりません。
それはさておき、ゲームの方はいかがでございますか？先ほど良い情報を見つけたようなことを言われ、お喜びになられていたようですが、さてさて、どのような朝知恵が思いついたやら。
As Ronove mocked me and giggled, he followed my earlier words and literally, my earlier words literally, and placed the black tea and cookies in a random spot nearby.
お方、19人目の存在に自信を深めたからでございましょう。よろしければ、ぜひご考説をお聞かせ願いますか。
Oh, this is so good.
ああ、いいぜ。
He's just been interacting with Beatrice thus far in the other world, so having another...
どうせベアトの前で改めて言うしな。隠す必要もないさ。いいか？この島に隠し屋敷があって、愛人を住まわせていたらしいんだ。となりゃ、俺を苦しめてきた18人なのか19人なのかって疑問は簡単に決着する。
バトラ様は魔女を否定するくせに、18人の中にも犯人を求められないダブルスタンダードの袋小路に自らを追い込まれました。
魔女を否定する最も簡単な方法は18人の誰かを疑うことだ。18人全員のアリバイはそう簡単には揃わない。常に一人くらいはアリバイの脆い人間が生まれる。俺はそいつを生贄にすることで常に魔女を否定し続けることもできるだろう。
Yeah.
しかしそれは断固拒否する。
Oh.
ああ、ダメだぜ。全然ダメだ。18人はみんな俺にとって親たちや親戚たちやいとこたち、そして真面目だったり面白かったりする頼もしい使用人の人たちだ。俺はその人たちの誰を生贄にすることも許せない。
But if you realize that one of them is irreparably the human culprit, what will you do? Will you keep denying yourself, or will you actually try to solve the whole thing?
かつて俺はその決意があやふやだった。だからその心の弱さをベアトに突かれたんだ。
自らの弱点を認め理解する、なかなかできることではありません。バトラ様は19人目が存在する説を槍にする。槍というよりは盾でしょうかな。いずれにせよ、これまでのゲームでの無策と違い、戦い方に指針を持たれるのは劇的飛躍と申せましょう。これでバトラ様は敬愛する18人を疑わずに存分に19人目を疑い、人間犯人説を追求できるわけでございます。
そういうことさ。最初のゲームのカノン君が殺されたボイラー室とか、他にも19人目が存在していたなら迷う必要なんかないトリックはいくつもある。
Yeah. Still, I believe it's one of the 18th. As long as the 19th person still existed. In the very first game, Kaneki was killed in the boiler room. One might think he was attacked by Kumasawa-san, who had gone down to the boiler room with him. Or maybe that someone who had appeared to be dead earlier was actually faking and had ambushed him. Either way, it was a move that forced me to suspect one of the 18th. However, by simply proposing that a 19th person existed, there was no longer any need to suspect one of the 18 for that murder in the boiler room.
つまり18人の誰にも無理だからイコール犯人は魔女という図式だけは否定することができるわけさ。
Using this argument, it's easy to explain, for example, the problematic case that had already occurred in this game. Who gave Maria the letter? Even if all 18 people had alibis, I could easily explain that everything by saying that a 19th person must have visited her and given her the letter. That's quite an innocent line of attack, my friend. It's not going to work.
とても良い一手だと思いますよ。
That's not a good move.
私だったらどう切り返しましょうか。
Using the red
たと
truth.
えバトラ様が理解されたとしても、未だに弱点は健在。18人攻めは有効な手でしょうね。バトラ様の守りがどの程度か確かめる意味でも、改めてそこをつくのも面白いかもしれません。
ならどう来る？悪魔の執事。
Ooh, here it comes. He's going to.
バトラ様が刺された19人目の駒を迎え撃つのが妥当でございましょう。バトラ様は19人目にお会いしておりませんね。19人目が存在する証拠をお願いできますか？
アメーゼ。もちろんその指し手で来るだろうことは読んでいる。
それは受け手をお願いいたします。
魔女だの悪魔だの、お前らにこれほどふさわしい一手はないぜ。それがこいつ、悪魔の証明さ。
When you try to make some claim to humans like us, we always counterattack by telling you to show some proof, because that's a human move. But I'm fighting with a witch. I'm taking part in a battle with someone who isn't human. And some moves exist that can only be used in a game against witch. There are cheap moves, and that's what this devil proof is, because it's impossible to prove. You need to prove the red. Let's assume that there's a hidden mansion on Rokinjima, separate from the Ushiramiya family mansion, and that a woman named Beatrice lives there. In order to prove this, one must find this mansion and actually bring Beatrice out of it. That's called actual proof in the human world. However, if we follow the rules of the devil's proof, you can't deny that she exists, even if there is no proof that she does. Because it's impossible to prove that something doesn't exist. That's right, I'm finally able to turn the tables, using this devil's proof, which tormented me so much before. Those guys were always trying to force me to accept the existence of the witch with it. After all, it was physically impossible for me to show any proof that witches don't exist and deny Beatrice's claim. That's why I kept getting hit with that reckless argument that witches do exist and was unable to counterattack. And that's why I'll spin the chessboard around right now. If I can't disprove the existence of witches, then that means if I suggest that a 19th human exists, you can't deny that either. In other words, because this problematic and mysterious mistress is craftily hiding herself, it'd be perfectly natural if you never found her, no matter how hard you looked. So I can't say that your inability to find this 19th person proves that she doesn't exist. Therefore, it's impossible to deny the 19th person's existence. However, my man, it is possible to deny that this 19th person committed a crime. You could just state in red that, for example, if Kenan gets murdered, you could say that the only people living in the mansion were that person, that person, that person, that person, that person, leaving no room for a 19th person to actually kill Kenan. So this whole line of attack that Battler is trying to conjure up isn't going to work. Bia2 used the devil's proof to make denying her own existence impossible. But this time, it's become my weapon. And that weapon is fragile. If you can get away with this argument and forget just a 19th person, this island could be full of people we don't know about. Maybe if there were 10 or 100 of them, she still couldn't deny they existed. The last game and the one before that, among the murderer scenes that showed up, there were several that were extremely intricate and must have taken a lot of effort to set up. It's really hard to imagine that a single culprit setting up all those. However, if not just a 19th person, but 10 or 100 people were hidden somewhere, that wouldn't be any problem at all. They all split up the work, they could handle any job in a short period of time. Of course, doubts will naturally arise as to whether a large group of people like that could sneak around the mansion without being noticed. Those are all settled by the devil's proof. You can deny that even 100 people were there just because they weren't seen or noticed. Even though I'm saying it myself, it's such a stupid argument that it makes me want to throw up. However, because it's such a dirty move, it's a perfect one to use against a witch. Well, this is just my imagination. But what if about 100 suspicious men wearing goat masks were hiding in the shadows? Something like that's worse than laughable, almost like they were cockroaches. If you see one, it means there was 100 more hiding somewhere.
まあ、へりくつまみれの暴論だとは思うぜ。相手が人間だったなら、寝言を言うなと怒鳴られるところだろうよ。だが、俺の相手は魔女だ。そして、俺たちがやってるのはそういう勝負なんだろう。どんな暴論であろうとも、人間で説明をつけ、魔女を否定する。とにかく、この一手で俺は、二度と親しい18人のみんなを疑わなくて済む。
Oh man, Battler, you're still...
俺は二度と、前回の失敗は繰り返さない。
なるほど。前回の失敗を学ばれているのですね。
Ronove.
良いことですよ。
Okay.
さすがに3度もゲームを重ねると容量が良くなるものです。まずは自陣の守りを固める。実に堅実な処方です。なかなかの
become an impenetrable shield, a tank.
まあ、19人目の人物を仮定したとしても、マスターキーの本数などのように何人人間を増やしてもクリアできないトリックも残ってる。しかしとりあえずの初手としては悪くないはずだ。
バトラ様の切り札、19人目の人物という大駒。証拠はあるのかとの私の一手に、バトラ様は悪魔の証明で反撃。良い攻防です。お嬢様のおられないところで勝手に手を進めてしまうのは申し訳ないのですが、
No, this is good, actually.
私も少し面白くなってきてしまったところです。お嬢様に代わり、さらに一手進めさせていただきましょう。
Here it comes. Battler, you're gonna get fucked in the ass right now.
来いよ。魔女だろうと悪魔だろうと。
Ooh, this is not gonna be good.
バトラ様の刺された一手、悪魔の証明。これは私ども悪魔のお箱でございますが、他にも私どもにはいくつもの手がございます。ヘンペルのカラスという一手はご存知ですかな？
Oh, I don't know this one,
ヘン
actually.
ペルのカラス？
I've heard about it, but
何の話だ？
don't know the specifics, actually. Oh. Here she comes. Just then, that enraging laugh I've heard so many times started echoing. The room was filled with dazzling golden butterflies, and in the center of that whirlwind, the golden witch appeared.
これはお嬢様。おはようございます。
わらわのいないところで何やら面白そうなことをしていると思えば、ヘンペルのカラスか。なんとも笑える懐かしい一手よ。よもやバトラに披露する日が来ようとはな。
Oh.
それは悪魔の証明に並ぶ古典的一手だ。ロノウェイ、それはわらわが指す一手ぞ。わらわの楽しみを減らしてくれる。
Oh.
出やがったな、ゲラゲラ魔女め。相変わらず下品に笑いやがって。こいつもお前のこと笑い方に品がねえって陰口言ってたぜ。まあ
それは心外な。本当か？
めっそうもない。心より尊敬申し上げているお嬢様にこの私めが どうしてそのよ
Oh
うな
my
陰口を
god.
申せましょうか。
This is so good.
よくもシャーシャーと言えるもんだな。お前とは仲良くなれそうにないぜ。
Oh. I don't know about
まあ
that.
よい。話を戻そう。
I think you're going to be best friends after a while. I don't know.
ヘンペルのカラスは実証を対偶的に行ってみせる。つまりこういう
Contrapositive.
手だ。カラスが黒いことを証明するにはどうすればいい？
あ？何の話だ？カラスが黒いことを証明って、カラスを捕まえてきて色が黒いことを確認すりゃいいだけの話だろ。
But there must be a blue one somewhere.
その通り。カラスイコール黒い。ということは黒くない鳥イコール
Oh,
カ
I
ラスではない
see.
を証明しても同じ論法になるのがわかるかな？世界中のカラスでない鳥をすべて調べ、それらが黒くないことを証明すれば、それは結果的に故に黒い鳥はカラスである。これを対偶論法という。そなたには難しいか？
Nah, that's okay.
まったく何言ってやがるのかさっぱりだ。
バトラ様、こういう例え話はいかがでしょう。2つの箱があり、片方は当たりでクッキーが入っているといたします。もちろんもう片方は外れで空っぽです。
For example, here are two boxes. Where one has a cookie inside and means you win, while the other is empty and means you lose. At this moment, it has a cookie inside, you win. Which implies that you do not win, it had a cookie inside. It had no cookie inside. When such a relationship exists, the latter is called the contrapositive. When if A, then B is true, then if not B, then not A is also true.
そりゃ当然だろう。もし選んだ方が外れだったなら、もう片方は自動的に当たりってことになる。つまり箱を適当に選び、当たりを引こうと外れを引こうと、最初の一手でどっちの箱にクッキーが入っているか特定できるわけだ。
その通り。開けた箱にクッキーが入っていたなら悪魔の証明を満たす。この箱は当たりイコールこの箱にはクッキーが入っている。しかし開けた箱が空っぽだったなら、この時は逆にヘンペルのカラスを満たす。この箱にクッキーが入っていないイコールこの箱は当たりではないとなるのだから。そしてそれは箱が2つしかないことを前提としている限り、もう片方の箱が自動的に当たりであることを対偶的に示している。
Oof.
ま、なんとなく理屈は分かったぜ。毒を制するには毒、へりくつにはへりくつってわけだ。それで俺の島には19人目の人間が隠れているに違いないから、18人全員にアリバイがあってもそれは魔女を認めることにはならないをどう切り返してくれるってんだ？
よかろう。わらわの手は教えよう。まずそなたは18人の中に犯人はいないイコールならば犯人は19人目とならば対偶としてこうなるわけだ。つまり犯人は19人目ではないイコールならば18人の中に犯人がいる。
はあ？なんだと？それはどういう意味だ？
Because if you can...
そなたの指し手を逆手に取っただけだがな。そう難しい話ではあるまいに。ロノウェ、説明せよ。そなたのさっきのクッキーの箱の例えはバトラに分かりやすいらしい。
それでは僭越ながら先ほどの例え話でもう一度ご説明させていただきます。
Allow me to repeat my earlier story about the two treasure boxes, one of which has a cookie in it. In this situation, you have an 18th person box and a 19th person box, so the cookie represents the culprit. Battler-sama, let's say you open the 18th person box. Because the cookie is not there, you have to paradoxically proven that therefore the cookie is in the 19th person box. lets us make an even more paradoxical claim. In other words, if it was the first shown that the 19th person box was empty, it would prove at the same time that the cookie is in the 18th person box. Therefore, you could use more twisted logic and say that 20th person box actually exists, but then you could counteract that with more twisted logic. Battler Sama played this move in order to avoid having to doubt any of the 18, but it's now being used to prepare an 18th person attack. It's twisted logic against twisted logic.
わらわが19人目の箱の中身が空っぽであることを先に証明すれば、そなたは自動的に18人の箱の中にクッキーがあることを認めなければならないということに。
So right now Beatrice's goal is to diminish the 19th person so that it doesn't exist. He or she doesn't exist.
そなたはそれを逆の言い方で口にしたに過ぎんのだぞ。
She can narrow it down to only the 18th could have committed the crime. That's what she's saying right now.
つまり俺の自信満々の一手は同時に諸刃の剣でもあるってわけか。
So basically, yeah, the murder she will commit will only be possible for the 18 people.
その通りよ。そなたの19人目で全てを説明する一手は、それが破られた時。
But then she gets lost in her reasoning.
18人でしか説明できないことを認めざるを得ないリスクを背負っている。
I see. HEMPEL'S Raven. So this is a countering technique. Wait, if I really think about it, this counter is really disadvantageous to me. This is a cookie we're talking about. If I imagine that the loser treasure chest actually has a bomb in it, it gets even clearer. And there aren't just 2 treasure chests, but 18 plus 1 more for the 19th person. If you think of it as a total of 19 boxes, it gets even easier to picture. First off, one of the premises of the human culprit theory is that the bomb will definitely be in one of these boxes. I didn't want to place the bomb in the boxes of any of the 18, so I used Devil's Proof and created the 19th person box so I could throw the bomb in there. That much was fine, but then Beato struck back. Now if the contents of the 19th person box are empty, that'll automatically mean that the bomb's in one of the other 18 boxes. Though you could say that there's a 20th person there. Still, it makes it easy for Beatrice to just say that this murder could only be committed by the 18 people there by using the red truth. If I could examine what's inside all 18 of those boxes, and as long as I can show that the bomb isn't in any of them, I'll be able to safely show that the 18 are innocent. If that were possible, I'd have nothing to fear. However, in reality, that's almost absolutely impossible. Still, Beatrice is losing focus here, is losing the train of her thoughts. She seems to want... She wants Battler to suspect one of the 18 instead of accepting the witch now. That's the problem. Police wouldn't come here in this typhoon. We don't have access to the scientific investigations or experts or anything. In short, we can't prove anything decisively. It'll be impossible for me to find any proof other than simply gulping down whatever alibis each of the 18 give. That means I personally have to prove their innocence, and I have to do it perfectly. Like by staying with them the whole time, never letting them go out of my sight for a second. By doing that, I could probably be sure that of that person's innocence. Sure that the bomb isn't in their box. However, in practical terms, that would be impossible. In other words, I'd have to expend an incredible effort just to check the contents of one box, and there are 18 of them. In other words, unless I bound all 18 of them in chains and watch over them, it would be impossible to prove that all of them have empty boxes. However, Beatu only has to open one box, the 19th person box, and show that it's empty to prove that the bomb's in one of the other 18 boxes. Still, that makes it seem like she wants him to suspect the 18 to make him weak again, but still. Furthermore, there's no need for her to show which of the 18 boxes had the bomb. I got 18 times more work to explain my pet theory that Beatrice does for hers.
世の中には悪魔の証明がそうであるように反論に膨大な手間がかかり事実上不可能であるケースが少なくない。しかしヘンペルのカラスはその問題を逆手に取り容易に実証することを可能とする。
She's just attacking his weakness to make him surrender because there's no way. If Battler starts suspecting the 18 and lets go of his morals, then there's simply no way Beatrice can win. Actually, none.
ヘンペルのカラスを使えば様々な暴論が実証可能なのです。例えば、私以外の人間イコール愚かであるという命題があったとします。これを証明するには本来、私を除く全人類を調べ、
And it only
愚かであ
takes
るこ
one
とを証
person
明しなければなり
to
ませ
open
ん。
your box and see that you are stupid,
しかし、
or
何十億
to
人
see
も
if
調べ
it's
るなど、
empty.
現実には不可能でしょう。
If it's empty, then everyone else is stupid. Is that what you're saying? Or maybe no. No, I don't.
バトラ様の18箱を開ける手間と全く同じです。
Yeah. If your box is empty, then you're not stupid, and there was one person whose box has the stupid in them, and that's me.
しかしヘンペルのカラスならばその命題は待遇的にこう変換される。つまり私以外の人間イコール愚かであるをチェス盤をひっくり返し愚かではないイコール私として証明しても良いということだ。つまりどういうことだと思う？わらわが聡明であるという事実を知るだけで全人類は愚かであることの何十億人分もの証明が直ちに終了してしまうわけだ。全人類がわらわよりも愚かであることをわずか1秒もかけずに証明終了できる。世界最強最速の QED、 これぞヘンペルのカラス。
なんつう暴論だよ。
これはとてもとても便利な一手ですよ。悪魔どころか神々も好む一手です。幸福であるイコール神のしもべを命題とするとき、待遇は神のしもべでない人間イコール幸福であってはいけないとなります。つまり神のしもべがその加護によって幸福であることを実証するためには、その加護を受けぬ人々が不幸であることを実証すればいいわけです。そして彼らは自らの神を信じない人々を不幸に突き落とすことで自らの幸福を実証する。
人に幸福を与えるには莫大なコストがかかる。しかし人を不幸にするのに必要なコストははるかに安上がりだ。つまりヘンペルのカラスを使えば神々は実に低コストで信者に加護の喜びを与えられるわけ。
God damn it. Oh my god.
悪魔だ。悪魔の理論だ。めちゃくちゃだ。
Nah,
話がそれてしまったようだな。 そろそろ話を戻そうぞ。わらわの反撃の一手は以上だ。そなたの19人目が犯人だから18人は無実で魔女も存在しない。ならば19人目が犯人でないことを証明できたら18人か魔女のどちらかが犯人ということで確定するぞとの確認だ。
Battler, you're not quite. For a while, I just stood there, shocked, completely forgetting to close my mouth. Just when I thought I countered one of the strong points, their counterattack had been this reckless argument that I couldn't possibly have anticipated. Is this going to be impossible after all? To continue denying the witch on an island with no more than 18 people, and still believe the innocence of those 18 people. Is that just a delusion? Am I just trying to escape reality? Yep. Unfortunately, you are. Still, you wouldn't be a shonen protagonist without that high moral ground. Not yet. Don't give up on this desperate struggle yet. Who cares about whoever's Raven? They're just trying to confuse me by bringing up weird bits of trivia. I used the devil's proof. Don't feel uncertain about something you've used once. Believe in the spear you've drawn, then forcibly gouge it in.
まだまだ序盤だぞ。この程度で長考するつもりか？
いや待て、確認するぞ。確かに俺は分かりやすく19人目という言い方をしたが、悪魔の証明によって18人以上人間を増やせるなら、それは10人いるか100人いるかもわからない。不特定多数ということだ。お前が想定する人数より常に1人多い。
So you've got 1 billion people on Rokkenjima, and now Beatrice has to open the box for each of them. Still, she could have like an atomic bomb that opens all the boxes.
わかるか?
He countered my twisted logic with something even more twisted. So the only thing that could counter that would be even crazier twisted logic. Oh man, this is so good.
なるほど。わらわが19人目のアリバイを何らかの方法で証明したとしても、その瞬間にそなたは20人目を生み出し犯人だと主張する。これを無限に繰り返すことによってわらわは永遠に彼らのアリバイの証明が終えられないというわけか。なるほどなるほど。さながらイナゴの大群を呼び出す魔王よな。さすがは金蔵の孫よ。召喚術の才能には恵まれているという。
What?
つまり18人以外の存在 X は常にアリバイを証明することが不可能なんだ。どうだベアト、ヘリクス合戦だと分かれば俺も負けねえぜ。
Now she can just draw the red again, the red truth.
愚かしいぞ。わらわを誰と心得る。わらわこそは無限の魔女。そのわらわに無限にて挑むとは肩払いたいわ。
That's what he has to do.
無限を操ることはつまり無限を殺すこともできるということ。わらわが19人目を切ればそなたは20人目を呼び、20人目を切れば21人目を呼び、21人目を切れば22人目を切れば23人目を呼び、34人目を呼び、6計4358兆2235億7967万3204人目を呼び、わらわを永遠に翻弄で生きるとでも、
Yep.
無限交代とは笑わせる。わらわに無限は通じぬわ。
ほう、ならばどうやってこの俺の無限を殺すんだよ。
Red truth again. See.
わらわには真実を赤で語る力があろうが。
Yep.
来やがったな。
わらわが赤で語るとき、そこには一切の幻想がない。わらわがこの島には100人しかいないと一言赤で語れば、そなたにはもはや 101人目を生み出すことはかなわぬのだ。ほーらバトラ、今度はどんな真実を赤で語ってみせようか。どんな拠り所を叩き切ってそなたを絶望に突き落としてやろうか。そら、いつもの怯えた顔を見せてみるがいい。
Bachelor, you still have a steep fight again, ahead of you.
何？そなた、笑うか。
I wonder what kind of creepy look I had on my face as I laughed right then. That red sure is scary. Every time it jumps out, I'm driven into the depths of hopelessness. But I've already realized something. There's no need to be overly afraid of the red.
また抜きやがったな。殿下の宝刀だ。それで今度はベアトリーチェ様は何をどう赤で語ってくださるってんだ。
ほう、それはどういう意味か。急に余裕を見せおって。
悪いがその真っ赤な宝刀は俺も抜いてくれるのを待ってたんだ。
Blood red treasured sword of yours.
さてお前は今度は何を赤で宣言してくれるんだ。犯人は18人の中にいるとでも言ってくれるのか。
This is so good.
言っとくがそいつは自爆だぜ。その時点でお前は魔女説を自ら捨てたも同然。まさに盗猟だ。
That's right. The red wasn't always a weapon that worked in Beatrice's favor alone. It was the other way around. If she used the wrong way, it was dangerous enough that she could bring about her own death.
確かに俺にとっても18人の中に犯人がいると赤で言われることは受け入れたくない悲しい事実さ。たとえ誰が犯人であっても俺はきっと辛い気持ちになるだろうぜ。
With Shannon, it's gonna be hard if it's Shannon. If it's Rosa, I don't know. If it's... if it's Ava, it's also hard.
だがそれはそれ以前にお前の敗北も意味する。人間が犯人だとお前が赤で語ることはお前の投了宣言にも等しい。お前が俺と差し違えても相打ちにしたいってんならそれも面白い一手だろうぜ。だがこの勝負は俺の勝ちで終わる。
Beatrice's red was her trump card. When that person speaks in red, it's definitely the truth, and no amount of proof or counter-arguments can change that. Until now, she's used that to severely wound me, and each time the tiny foundation supporting my heart gets split in half. However, if she uses it carelessly, then I can also glean a little information about the truth. In the last game, I used that to my advantage, especially during the chapel closed room trick, and almost completely got her boxed in at one point. She was pretty sly herself. She learned from that experience, and since then, she started using the discretion and the timing of her red. This feeling of tension was almost literally like a battle with real swords. This is a high-level intellectual battle. No, not an intellectual battle. This really is twisted logic. This was the world's craziest and worst battle of twisted logic. And I love it.
さあ、今度はお前の手番だぜ。そうさ、お前のヘンペルのカラスを使うには、まず18人以外に何人の人間がいるのかを赤で確定させる必要がある。その上でそれらの人間についてさらに赤で犯人でないことを宣言したならば、なるほど、こいつは俺にとって致命傷になるだろうぜ。
あれほど怯えていた赤をもはや微塵も怯えぬとはな。たくましいやつよ。
抜いてみろよ、殿下の宝刀。バッサリ決まって 今度こそ俺を屈服できるかもしれねえぜ。
面白い。こうでなくてはな。
Oh, this is getting so good. Agitate her, challenge her, drive her into a corner to make her speak in red. Of course, her red's always wiping out my only rays of hope, but don't be afraid of that. Yes, Battler, you're learning. On this island, overcome with falsehoods and illusions, the only thing I can trust is the information she speaks in red. It's my only way across the chasm of hell. Just a single tightrope. Her merciless blood-red blade is the only way I can survive. This isn't just walking on a tightrope. It's like literally walking on the edge of a blade. Of course I'm afraid. Because my victory condition is the denial of witches. Then, to use her contrapositive logic, the culprit must be human. But I didn't want to search for a culprit amid the 18. That's what made me stick to a weak position, since I had to claim both that it couldn't be a witch and that it couldn't be one of the 18. Last time I was unable to understand that, so that's where she hit me, leaving me tattered and defeated. But that's okay. Let her hit me. Let her attack. No problem. Someone said it once in an old sword fighting movie, that a good fortress had one and only one intentionally weak point. The enemy would gather there. They would be lured there, and that would be where the actual battle took place. As long as I understood my weak points, as long as she wanted to attack those weak points, it was as if I were luring her into launching an attack there. Gauge the distance between us with care, retreating step by step, make them move forward. The more she recklessly flourished that red, the more chances I would get to strike back. Don't be afraid of the red. Keep her cornered, so that she'll have no choice but to refute me with that red. No matter how oppressively she speaks in red. That's right, that red itself is the same as fresh blood leaking from her wounds.
さあ、どうしたよ。まずはこの島に合計で何人いるのか赤で語ってもらおうじゃねえか。さもないとお前のカラスは俺に切り込めないぜ。
破れかぶれがこうもやりにくいとは。捨て身というやつはいつの時代も侮れんな。やはり金蔵の孫か。追い詰められれば追い詰められるほどに不敵。
The same for Beatrice, maybe? Ronove cleared his throat.
膠着しましたね。せっかくの紅茶も冷めてしまいますよ、お嬢様。
Oh. Oh, shit. Ronove, who was supposed to be her ally, roguishly rushed her into making the next move. Beato probably thought she'd managed to smile back and appear confident, but she couldn't hide the sweat building up on her forehead. By now, she had completely lost the confident feeling that had allowed her to turn her nose up at her worthless opponent. Of course, she probably wouldn't be cornered by something like this. She's just being cautious. I'm just smiling so hard right now. Until now, I've been inexperienced. I didn't know how to fight. I wasn't strong enough to be her opponent. However, now that we've reached the third game, she realized I'm starting to become more skilled, and she's grown more cautious, thinking every move over carefully. Sure, that's fine, Beatrice. Sorry to keep you waiting. Are you happy now?
面白くなってきたぜ。
Oh. Oh, look at her face. Oh, this is good.
バトラ。
Oh my god, her voice.
拉致が開かねえな。なら、ズバッと気持ちよく。いつものやつで行こうじゃねえか。
ほう。いつものやつとな。ならば頼もうではないか。あれを聞かぬと。 やはり始まった気がせぬわ。
The usual. First move was mine.
行くぜベアト。副賞要求。この島には18人しかいない。
Oh, I see.
こいつを赤で言われちまったら、俺は18人の誰かを疑わざるを得ない。19人目の仕業にはもうできず、八方塞がりさ。だが俺は18人の中に犯人が絶対にいないと信じてる。あんな残酷な殺人を18人の誰にも起こせるものか。繰り返すぞ。副賞要求。この島には18人しかいない。
拒否する。理由は明かさない。
Mm-hmm. I see. Woo. I'd avoided what would have been the worst threat for me. If she repeated that, I'd be faced with those two worst choices of accepting the witch or suspecting one of the 18, like last time, all over again. But Beato hadn't proclaimed my ultimate and greatest weakness in red. She refused to repeat it, even though there was no reason for her not to strike, even though it was a weakness she should have been drooling at. She hadn't sliced me up with red by using that move, which should have been as good as forking a rook and the king. This was a big sign of my advantage. That's right. The culprit isn't one of the 18. I won't suspect anyone. And since the culprit isn't a witch either, it means a 19th person exists on this island. And that's you. A person who, as grandfather and mistress of 30 years, had been secretly living in a hidden mansion in the forest for a long, long time. The human Beatrice.
そうさ。お前は魔女なんかじゃない。この島に何十年も隠れ住んできた。ただの人間なんだ。
1000年を経た無限の魔女のわらわをただの人間呼ばわりしたか。
For a while, Beatrice continued to laugh unpleasantly and gloatingly, or maybe spitefully. Let me hear her.
1000年を経た無限の魔女のわらわをただの人間呼ばわりしたか。
いいか、続けるぜ。続けて副賞要求。この島には19人以上がいる。
Beatrice fell silent once again. She'd probably remain extremely cautious, as long as confirming the number of humans on this island might give her some large disadvantage. Depending on the situation, the red had already become a foothold for my counterattacks. Not that we know this, it makes the red very risky for the witch. But if she couldn't repeat this, her HEMPEL'S raven wouldn't be effective. To break my devil's proof, she would need to settle the existence and number of people outside the 18 in red. That's right. She couldn't break the existence of a 19th person unless she used red. I've closed Beato in, giving her no choice but to speak in red. It really was a way to fight in this witch's game.
拒否してもいいんだぜ。お前が赤で言えないなら、この島の合計人数は18プラス X ってことになる。この X は初手で許すには相当でかい大駒だぜ。何しろ以後18人の誰にも不可能だったという根拠のトリックは全て18人以外の人間 X で説明可能になる。全員アリバイ系の密室を全て打ち破れる大駒だ。
It was just like how a chess bishop can cut a thin line through enemy forces as long as there is a slight gap. It can only be effective used on squares of the same color, but it was very good at controlling territory on the border. It looked like Beato also noticed her current plight. She couldn't just let an important piece go, especially this close to the beginning of the game. If she pulled out her red treasured sword, it wouldn't be that difficult to save herself from this. But Beatrice was completely aware that I was expecting it. She was afraid that a careless red truth might end up strangling her own neck. Because, in the first place, a witch is something that ought to be denied and read. Believe, don't doubt, witches don't exist. Something like that too couldn't exist in this world. They can only exist in the valleys between truths. They have a fragile existence, curled up in these cracks, frantically trying to protect themselves from the brutal winds of truth. They can only barely exist, but like a mirage, by surviving on falsehoods and illusions. In other words, the red, which only witches can use, is the reality that easily denied their very being. The more they brandish their red words, the more they begin to lose bit by bit that crack in truth inside, which they can endure. That's why they don't want to use the red words and carelessly lose that crack in truth, which is based on fuzzy information, or illusions in other words. That's because they understand that they are gradually being cornered. Of course, that bastard will never admit it, because if she did, it'd be the same as admitting that she's something she can't exist in this world, like an imaginary number. Don't be afraid, stay strong. I know that she's the one who's really been pierced to the bone. After all, her red treasure swords can't be used without a lot of preparation.
どうしたよ、繰り返すぜ、副将要計。この島には19人以上がいる。
拒否する。
At the end of Beatrice's warning, she took a single deep breath and quietly announced her refusal. I thought she'd use it. But Beatrice refused to speak in red, even though it would cost her victory in the opening part of the game.
拒否したな。ということは今後、俺は18人以外の架空人物 X を何人でも使い放題ってことになるぜ。
好きにするがよい。わらわはそなたの副将を拒否した。今はそれで十分であろう。拒否の理由は。いや、今はまだ明かせない。
Oh, because she wants to use it.
いずれすぐにわかる。
Oh, Battler, be careful.
もったいぶりやがってよ。
あえて使わぬ赤もまた赤らしい使い方よ。そなたは赤き宝刀と呼んだな。愉快な例えよ。わらわも使おう。宝刀は抜かぬうちが花よ。むしろ抜かぬことによって醸せる畏怖というものもある。
そうだな。俺はお前がいつ赤でひっくり返してくるか常に念頭に置いて戦わなければならない。こいつはえれえプレッシャーだ。それに副将を拒否される方が辛い場合もある。何しろ俺の読みが正しいから拒否できないのか、ミスリードにはまって泳がされてるのか。そういう意味ではなるほど抜かずの宝刀ってわけだ。
なあ、同じ突き落とすなら、少しでも高いところに行かせてからに限る。まだ始まったばかり。まだまだな。この勝負は今はわらわがリザインする。淡き勝利に今は酔え。今はな。
Oh. Ah, wow. Practically speaking, the early parts of the game ended with her being a sore loser. Even so, I couldn't relax my guard at all. The tension didn't fade one bit until I was greeted by the sound of Ronove's applause.
お見事です、バトラ様。まずは序盤はバトラ様有利の展開でスタートというところでしょうか。
さあな、この駒が俺の手でもぎ取ったものなのか、取るよう誘導されたものかはまだわからねえな。どうせお前のことだ。俺が罠にはまり始めてるのを知ってて白々しく拍手をしてるんだろ。
まさか序盤とはいえお嬢様より一本を奪った手腕を純粋に祝福いたしております。何しろお嬢様はすぐ増長するお方。たまにはこのような刺激も良い薬かと思いますよ。
お前んとこの執事ほんと口悪いな。
であろう？たまにわらわでもカチンとくるぞ。
それは大変に失礼いたしました。さあさあ、お嬢様にバトラ様、紅茶のおかわりはいかがですかな。まだゲームは始まったばかりでございます。ゲームを彩るお茶とお菓子はどうかこの私めにお任せを。どうぞお気兼ねなくゲームをお進めになってください。
そうさせてもらう。先を進めるぜ。これからが本番だ。
よかろう。時計を進めようではないか。ロノウェ、紅茶を頼む。
That's his
か
events,
し
the
こまりまし
clock.
た。クッキーは？
いらぬ。ベルゼブブにあれば喜ぼう。しばし沈黙せよ。
While listening to the sound of the demon butler pouring tea, the witch closed her eyes slightly and fell silent. For some time she was deeply lost in thought, but eventually a roguish glint came into her eyes. She thought... Oh... She thought of her winning move. Oh shit.
わらわがどうして初手にて赤で語るのを拒否したのか、今より分からせてやろうぞ。
何？上等じゃねえかよ。お手並み拝見と行くぜ。
やはり見逃すには惜しい大駒よ。拙速かもしれぬが動かせてもらおう。赤は使わぬが、今よりそれをわらわに代わってローザが説明する。
Rosa?
聞くがよい。
Oh. Oh.
もちろん私も同意よ。ローザもそうでしょ。ローザ？
ごめんなさい。私も同じよ。同意するわ。
どうしたんや、ローザさん。あんたさっきからずいぶんおとなしいな。体調でも悪いんとちゃうか？
From the beginning, Rosa had never been one to cut into the siblings' fight. But even so, she seemed unmotivated, and had said almost nothing during this night's conference. The whole time she had hung her head and appeared to be thinking something else.
あんたさっきからぼんやりしてるわよ。そんなので遺産が守れると思ってるの？あんたも一児の母なんだから、もっとしっかりなさいよ。
ごめんなさい。
朝がだいぶ早かったんじゃないかね。体調が悪いなら無理をしない方がいいだろう。
客室にベッドの用意がありますよ。お休みになってはいかがですか？ご案内しますよ。
いえ、大丈夫です。ありがとう。
どうしたんだ？何か心配事でもあるのか？
いえ、別に。
そう？さっきからずっと心ここにあらずという感じよ。そしてそれは今私たちがしている議題と何か関係があるんじゃないかしら。
At those words, everyone stared at Rosa together. As if in response, Rosa's shoulders quivered. Apparently, Kyrie's guess hadn't been wrong. Rosa couldn't deny it either.
いえ、
She swallowed whatever it was she had been trying to say and went silent again. Of course, the other siblings also began to realize that something about her appearance was different from usual.
どうしたんだ？さっきからおかしいぞ。何か思うことでもあるのか？
わしら全員で団結しようって誓い合ったばかりやないか。一人で悩むなんて水臭い話やで。話したってな。
ローザ、話しなさい。
The men pressured her one after the other, and Rosa confessed resignedly and nervously. The atmosphere made it seem as though she was confessing to some modest prank, which had inadvertently brought about a serious situation.
いえ、ベアトリーチェっていうお父様の愛人って本当に生きてるのかしらって思って。
はあ？そりゃ生きてるに決まってるでしょう。 こうして手紙を送ってくるぐらいだもの。
元気かどうかは別の問題だろうけどな。肖像画の美女も今じゃきっといいお年だろうぜ。
元気やと思うで。金のことで悪知恵働くやつは決まっていくつになっても元気や。案外悪巧みは最高の回春剤かもしらへんで。
生きてるはずないの。
今なんて？
Oh, what?
ベアトリーチェは死んでるのよ。私が殺した。
Rosa, I knew it. Come on. I knew there's something about you. Fuck. Is she impersonating Beatrice? Or something like that? Fuck, I knew there was something about Rosa.
なんだって。
どういうことよ、ローザ。
Ugh.
でも私が殺したわけじゃ。
It wasn't really me who killed her.
でも私があんなところに連れ出したから。
What the fuck are you saying?
やっぱり私が殺したのよ。あれは夢だと思い込もうとしたのよ。
No, I did kill her after all. What?
やっぱりあれは夢じゃなかったのよ。だからこれはベアトリチェの俺からの手紙なのよ。
Rosa, are you the accomplice again? Are you the culprit again? Oh god damn it. It was so sudden that everyone was lost for words. Rosa kept on talking, unable to stop, holding her head as her hair flew all about.
どうか落ち着いて、ローザさん。
I always thought that I theorized that Beatrice might be Rosa's split personality.
もう死んどる？どういう意味なんや？
So basically,
2つの意味があると思う
a
わ。
personality formed after she killed someone.
まず一つ目は言葉通りの意味、そしてもう一つは私たちの想像が正しかったことを裏付けるもの。
ということはローザはベアトリーチェに会っ
Yeah,
たことがある
that's
と
what
いう
it means.
そんな話、ローザの口からは一度も聞いたことがないわ。
Then everything makes sense if she has a split personality emulating the dead person.
ローザ、いつよ？あなたは一体いつベアトリーチェに会ったのよ？
昔よ。ずっと昔よ。まだこの島に引っ越してきたばかりで私は幼かった。私は悪くないの。私が殺したわけじゃ。
So, all the ghost stories, everything was because of your split personality, Rosa.
落ち着け。誰もお前を責めちゃいねえぜ。まずは水でも飲め。な、夏日さん、水差しを頼む。
You see how Rudolph is acting nice towards Rosa now that they are adults? I guess he wants to redeem himself a little bit, but still.
はい、どうぞローザさん、どうか落ち着いて。
Until Rosa was able to calm her ragged breathing, no one was able to speak a word. No fucking way. Rosa and the Witch of the Forest. White Shadow. I'm going to end right here, unfortunately. I still want to read it more. Oh, no way.
Beatrice.
Okay. I'm ending it right here. I'm sorry, but it's too late. It's very late right now. So, with White Shadow playing in the background, I'm going to rank the characters. Beatrice. Yes. Number 1 on S rank. S rank plus. I'm going to put them in S rank plus. Beatrice and Battler in S rank plus, SS rank or whatever. And on top of S rank, you have Maria, you have Rosa, you have Bernd Castell, you have Ava, you have Ronove, and you have Lambda Delta in S rank. Starting A rank, I'd say Kyrie right now. Kyrie. She's so intelligent and so, I don't know, her voice is good as well. Kyrie, and then Rudolph, and then Natsuhi, and then Shannon needs more screen time again. Shannon, and then Jessica, finishing A rank right there. B rank, 7 sisters. All of them ranked like last time. I'd say Genji, Kumasawa, and guess this is it. C rank would be Hideyoshi, Cross, George, and Kinzo, and Nanjo. The less I see Kinzo, the more I don't care about him instead of hating him. If I see Kinzo, I start hating the guy, and if I don't see him, I become indifferent towards him. So it's quite hard to place Kinzo. On the one hand, he's the most hated character right now. On the other, when he doesn't appear, I don't care much. And this is it. Thanks for watching. And with White Shadow, I bid you goodbye. No HEMPEL'S Crow this time. HEMPEL'S Raven, or whatever it was. I'm going to research it better next time, so I know what it is.